All right, welcome everybody. It is August 22nd. Um, we are here on the Nonstop Vision Train Global Art Jam, and we're here for a special conversation today with my dear friend, Dr. James Leathem, who's also an awesome Vision Train sponsor and supporter of visionary art and healing, really working to hold up his side of contributing to the transformation and expansion of humans that find their way to Dr. James's clinics down in Arizona. And we got to meet each other in 2021 when I was exhibiting at the Mesa Art Center. And yeah, we'll have a fun little story to share. I'd like to have James share that story, but we got an opportunity, my partner Joe Bob and I, to go paint down in the clinic and also experience the work that James and his colleagues are doing down there. And it's just, I think, a full circle to have this conversation here, and especially some of the characters, artists that are here on the train with us. Like, this is a really cool array. I'm sure we'll have more crew showing up too. But thanks for being here, Kyra. I think Kyra's in Brazil right now, and Ish, and then Zarzor in Florida, Chantel in Australia. We got Alexandra 10 in Costa Rica. Vanessa, it's so good to see you. It's been a while since I've seen you, and I think, are you in New Zealand? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And Lori's in Denver. April, I learned, is in Brooklyn. Good to see you, April. And Serena just jumped on in the Pacific Northwest. So what a crew. Yeah, we're all curious here too, about the expansion of consciousness through art and using art and as a and community, to explore healing on a personal and global level, cultural level. So yeah, Dr. James, welcome. Thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me here. I'm part of this transformation. I remember back in the day, like after we got to know each other for a little bit, you're like, you're one of the carts on the train. And I was like, I'm one of the carts on the train. I feel honored, to be a part of that. And we all are. We're all like carts on the train. We're all part of the transformation. So just asking yourself, like, are you like, be the change you wish to see in this world? And are you living up to your greatest potential, and using your innate talents to then kind of give back whatever those might be? And we met when you had Vision Seeds in Mesa back in 2021. It was September 10th. And I'll go in later into how that date's kind of interesting. Just because September 10th, 2001, 20 years prior, was the day Alex Gray was at the Twin Towers teaching an art class. And then the next day, we all know September 11th, kind of crazy. So 20 years later, I get to meet you. I just like looking at the numbers and the dates, you know how we do. And just by chance got to meet you. Do you want me to kind of go into that story, how it kind of came to be? Yeah, so September 10th, 2021, and I'm at that Mesa Arts Center. You have the Vision Seeds, your first museum, basically exhibit. And then Alex also had one called The Beyond Within with Allison. And so I had thought that they were going to be there by chance. I mean, this literally is 10 minutes from my house at the Mesa Arts Center. So it's wild that, my favorite visionary artist, Alex Gray, coming near where I live. I was just kind of blown away by it. It also goes to tell you that I didn't even know it was coming into town. I had a friend send me a text message. And so just know that text messages can change lives. Like literally, just any little thing, the butterfly effect, the ripple effect, every action, every thought is a pebble into that lake of life, essentially, causing those ripples. So he sends me that text message, hey, Alex Gray's going to be here in town. I'm like, no way, dude. And so I go there, not knowing I'm going to meet you. And then I'm there. Alex and Allison were not there, but you were there. And then you came up to like a table where I was standing, and you were like, anybody have a Sharpie? And I had a Sharpie because I had this book like ready to get signed by Alex Gray. And so I did have a Sharpie and I gave you the Sharpie, and then it spawned a conversation. And I had just opened up my clinic in Scottsdale literally a month prior, August 2021. We had opened up prior year in Peoria, but then moved and then really kind of started the business in August 2021 in Scottsdale. And I was like, I have a, psychedelic medicine clinic. I would love if you would come into the clinic and do art because there's a lot of blank walls. I want to turn like, art turns a house into a home. It turns a regular space into a healing sanctuary. Why? Because just like you said, vision seeds. Everything is planting seeds, right? Alex says art basically plants seeds in the mind stream of the viewer. Now, if you don't plant any seeds, nothing will grow. But don't plant the seed expecting something to grow. Just know that if you don't plant it, if you don't put your art out there in the world, nothing's going to grow. So giving that thing a chance. And so all your art is vision seeds. Anything we do out here is vision seeds. So I think one of the, biggest things you can do, like that's adverse to humanity, is to die with your art inside you. So allow your art to come out of you, whatever form that is. Like my art is the administration of medicine, maybe the spoken word as well. I'm not amazing on the canvas, and then other people want to be a spoken word or with the paintbrush or, music, whatever your art is, whatever your art form is. I'll share that with the world because we're all just walking each other home, as Ram Dass says. So on that walk home, let's lift each other up. So you said, hey, anybody got a Sharpie? I had that Sharpie, gave it to you. And then you gave me back as like kind of a gift because like kind of a, Burning Man style trading things. And you gave me a picture of Sonic Bloom, actually a sticker of it. And then little did I know that, a couple or the next year after, then we would commission with one another to do Psychedelic Bloom, which is your background right there. That has a lot of Arizona elements in it as well. And then you came down to the clinic on February 14th, 2022. How can I remember it so easy? Because it's Valentine's Day. And it's also Arizona's birthday. And exactly 1 month prior, January 14th, you cut off your dreadlocks and you had them for 14 years, right? So all these little numbers, kind of just like looking at the synchronicities of things, and so it all lined up. It's all aligned. And that's easy to accept when good things are happening for you in life, but it is a bitter pill to swallow when life is giving you the challenges. So I never want to minimize or dismiss what anyone is going through if you're going through hard times, but just always ask yourself, how is this adversity still happening for me instead of why is it happening to me? And then turning that trauma into wisdom. I think that's one of our, reasons for being here in life, is to heal through the adversity, the challenges. As they say, diamonds are made under pressure. And I got the diamond being Alex Gray shirt on right here. So we're all work in progress. We're here to elevate one another, lift each other up. You're like a soul sister to me. And then you even told me you have a actual biological brother named James. So it just kind of is perfect to line up like that. And then we talked, traded information back on that September 10th, 2021 at your exhibit. And then I try to like message you on Instagram, email you, text you, right? Just all the different mediums. And then I didn't hear nothing. But then ironically, I go back to the exhibit like literally a month later, and I'm like literally standing with Sonic Bloom in your art, and then boom, you message me back that very moment. And I'm like, oh, I'm like around your children, basically. Right. And that's how I look at it as like a collector of visionary art. When I own an original, I'm the foster parent. I don't own that piece. The artist owns it. So if you ever want it to put it to an exhibit, now just please fill the wall space. That's all I ask. But like I'm like the foster parent. And that's why I try to put a lot of different visionary art in my clinic because I want to plant seeds in the mind stream of the viewer. When they're here, like I'm in our Zen Den right now, the recovery lounge after you had a ketamine infusion, just so you have a safe place to chill because safety is always number one. And then you go into the bathroom, there's cool art. All the rooms have different art. I want it to be a feast for the eyes. I want you to be able to look around and just have so many different things to kind of take in because it's all energy. We're just energy in human form. And if you're just like in a blank, sterile, barren, medical feeling room, then it all just blends together. And I want to have really unique experiences. So then you have like more neural circuits attached to that memory, and you're more likely to remember it and more likely to become like a foundational, shift or a fork in the road, essentially. And that's what I really provide people is a fork in the road. Psychedelics are pattern interrupters, right? Because we all get stuck in our ruts, right? And then sometimes the train goes off the tracks. So I'm trying to bring it back on the tracks, right? And we're all work in progress. So sometimes you need a neuroplastic agent or neuroplastogen like ketamine. And that's a word you're going to hear more as well as psychedelics come more into the mainstream is neuroplastogen. It's Big Pharma's way of saying psychedelic without saying psychedelic, which is kind of interesting. So just watch out for that word, neuro, brain, plastogen, plasticity, change. And it's a great word, but psychedelic has so much connotation to it, right? All of a sudden you're thinking 60s, 70s, counterculture, all these different things, a lot of connotation. Neuroplastogen, no connotation. Sounds really good. So, anyways, I'm very tangential. I will tell you, I'm a white dude that goes off on tangents. White, tan, dude, gents. And I go on little flows, That's why I love that we get to talk for like, what, like an hour, hour and a half today. Like, I love that. Like, I hate to be constrained by like 20, 30 minutes because, I try to say things of substance. I'm not just going to babble on, but I will definitely go off on some tangents and then always weave it back and bring it back. And so you came down and spent a week with me back in 2022, February, you and Joe Bob. And it was amazing because like you did infusions Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I call 3 infusions like a personal evolution. And so if you feel like, hey, like I'm not struggling too much, but we all lived through a pandemic. We've all probably gone through breakups. We've all lost a loved one. We've all had challenges in our life, right? Like this human condition, that's what we're here to do is heal our states of suffering, whether it's big T traumas or little T traumas. And so you were there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the days in between, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you painted. So how cool for patients to like come into the clinic, they're about to drop into a psychedelic experience. They see you painting live in that common area, the psychedelic bloom right in front of that big tree mural that I have. And then they go in to have their infusion, then they come out and you're still there, just in flow, right? And just be able to come up and like watch like a wizard basically with a paintbrush, watch your hand and the movements of it, right? Like what an honor, what a privilege. And then we had that support beam, and I call it Vines, Veynes. Instead of like being an eyesore, it's now a I want some more. And so you brought these vines into there and like they really elevated the space. And that's what I want to feel like when you walk in, you're like, this isn't a regular doctor's office. I'm in like a healing sanctuary right now. I don't know what time it is. I don't know where I am, but I feel safe. And there's a lot of cool things for me to look at while I'm in here too. And so that's what I've tried to really create. And your visionary art allows me to create a space like that. I have Blake Foster in the clinic. I got John Salter. I got Bradley Snook. I got Alex Gray. Morgan Mandala, Autumn Sky, like the list, Chris Dyer, the list goes on, man. So many greats. And I'm like really like a visionary art enthusiast. And then I always learn about new ones too. Like you taught me about Robert Venosa. I didn't even know about him. Like there's just so many amazing artists and just, allowing them to like be out into this world. One more, Jim Fagora. Can't forget him because he's got the Stone Ape theory of evolution. You got to meet him as well. And then you guys text me, which is really cool. He's in Colorado. So shout out to Jimmy Figs. You guys are just, I'm very impressed. Like I'm always just so impressed by the ability to like take your hand and bring back from the psychedelic space this imagery. I remember one time I heard Alex Gray speak and he said, the best technology we currently have is the visionary artist bringing back these things, these visions from these alternate realms or realities, and then being able to put them on a canvas. And we're like, oh, I've been there. Like Jonathan Salter has that one. It's like this golden realm, and it's called like I've been there. And you see it, and if you've experienced DMT, you're like, oh yeah, I've been there. You captured it, man. You captured it. Yeah, just amazing. I like So hopefully that kind of answers the question. Like I said, I'm going to go off on some tangents.
Yeah, we're
And
gonna
I'll
go
answer
all
any
over the
questions. Like
place.
I'm a board certified anesthesiologist that
Right.
COVID pivoted into ketamine, basically. That's how I'm here.
That was going to be my next question, just to give a little bit more context, because you
Yeah. Who
come
is this
kind of
guy?
from the medical world
Yeah.
as an anesthesiologist. And so I'm curious what opened your world into doing what you're doing now, and where was that pivotal moment? Because I remember this story, and I think it's a really fascinating, yeah, a fascinating part of your story, which I learned to later on, like there's quite a few, and I want to talk about ketamine today too, as in which way you see it as a healing tool and how it can be used for healing. It's also something that is can be very damaging to people. There's a lot
For
of
sure.
people that have addictions with it too,
Hmm.
and the difference there in that, and it being also to learn a little bit more about it because it's not act it's not it's something that actually like suppresses receptors, right, rather than like introducing new substance, right? So I know this is
Hmm.
a bunch of different things here, but I think that it would be beneficial and like educational for a bunch of us to learn more about that. But let's
Yeah,
start
for sure.
first with like where you entered,
Yeah,
like
we'll get into the science of it for sure. Just a quick little touch point on that is everything is a tool or a weapon. And you have to ask yourself, what is my intention when I am engaging in this substance or behavior? Am I doing this to escape from myself, or am I doing this to connect to myself? Money can be a tool or a weapon. Love can be a tool or a weapon, right? Psychedelics can be a tool or a weapon. So you have to be real with yourself about that, number one. But yes, definitely ketamine is a known drug of abuse. And pretty much anything that makes you feel good, humans have found a way to kind of maybe do an excess at times. So I want it to be very intentional. It is a tool here in the clinic for healing. It's a catalyst for change or what I like to call a catalyst. And I say ketamine is a key to me, but it's just one of the keys. And there's many keys in this life, like meditation and breath work and proper nutrition and mindfulness and sleep and exercise and all the things. The list goes on and on. Community, the real vitamin C, which is what the vision train is here, right? Because we are social creatures by nature. What do you do with the worst criminals on planet Earth? You put them in solitary confinement. Why? Why? Because we need human connection. Like we will pretty much like not thrive without it. And so back in 2020, COVID happens. I'm board certified anesthesiologist, worked in the hospital over 10 years, finished residency 2015, and did my residency at Michigan State. I'm an osteopathic physician as well, DO. So we can go into the difference between MD and DO if we want to as well. Just a lot of people are unaware of it. I wasn't even aware of it until I kind of switched into it. In short, take an MD and a chiropractor, put them into one, that's a DO. So everything MDs can do, DOs can do, but not everything that DOs do can MDs do, because there's certain things we do with our hands, like musculoskeletal manipulation, that MDs are not in those realms. So in anesthesia, though, we're the same, right? I'm going to use pharmacology and physiology. I'm going to be rendering you unconscious. I'm going to be inducing alternate states of consciousness or unconsciousness to get you through a very challenging time in your life, surgery. And so to parlay my skills into ketamine was really the perfect fit. Also, just real talk. I'm out of the medicine cabinet now. I met Rick Doblin and I was like, dude, you give me the ability to like be able to speak and be authentic about my psychedelic use and not be afraid. And I was like, I feel like I'm out of the closet. And he goes, no, no, say you're out of the medicine cabinet. And I was like, okay, I like that. I'm out of the medicine cabinet. So be your authentic self. You will feel liberated in this life. What you seek is seeking you. Rumi, the great poet back in from the 14th century. And so psychedelics have been a part of me since I was 13 years old. So literally I've been doing psychedelics now for, 32 years of my life. And cannabis was my first, psychedelic experience in eighth grade. And I like to also just tell people that you can be the successful psychonaut that society tells you does not exist. There's actually a lot of them. And it's all about using it with intention to expand your mind and heal things, right? Otherwise, if you go to like a Western medicine doctor and you have depression or anxiety or trauma or suicidal ideation, generally what they're going to do is you're going to get a medication like an SSRI or mood stabilizer or benzodiazepine of sorts, and you're going to do talk therapy. That's okay for some people, not to demonize any of that, but a lot of that takes a lot of time. Whereas psychedelics are catalysts, they really speed up the healing process, and you generally don't have to get worse before you get better, especially with ketamine. So I'm really trying to shift the paradigm that when you are depressed and you feel stuck, why not consider ketamine as a first line option versus the usual route of going on, say, like a Prozac or a Zoloft or a Lexapro or the many different SSRIs that take 6 to 8 weeks to work. And then now a lot of people are waking up to the fact, like, how do I get off this thing that I've been on for 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And that's a huge topic of conversation now in the medical community, as well as when these other psychedelics come into play, like the psilocybin, the LSD, the MDMA. Well, guess what? Those all work on the serotonergic system. And then SSRIs work on the serotonin system. So now people are going to have to come off of those in order to get a benefit from the psychedelics, generally speaking. So things that we have not seen yet. A lot of people are all concerned about the length of time, right? Like the MDMA through MAPS almost got passed in 2023 and it got blocked. There's a lot of obviously enthusiasm around it, me included, but that was a 6 to 8 hour session. Now that's a long time, right? So how do you scale something like that? Probably has to be in a group. But then also, what about patients on SSRIs? You can't just give them MDMA. You can have serotonin system or syndrome, essentially. So I basically, me and my two partners, Dr. Wong, Dr. Sharma, shout out to them because without them, I probably wouldn't be able to make this dream a reality. But I approached them in 2020. I was like, I know there's a mental health epidemic. I know there's ketamine clinics. I think I could probably do it better than it's being done because I have like a firsthand experience with psychedelics, and a lot of doctors out there don't, or at least will not admit to it. This is kind of like a little dirty secret in the ketamine industry. Probably about 90% of the people actually giving you the medicine have never done the medicine. And I always tell people, like, my uncensored analogy, would you go to a virgin sex therapist? And I've never heard anybody say yes to that. But that's what we have out there, unfortunately. So the fact that I can only lead you as far as I've gone myself, right? Like, how can I help you to heal if I've never experienced this medicine when it's truly ineffable, right? Psychedelic states are beyond what words can fully convey. I think visionary art does a better job at conveying the psychedelic state than words at times, and music as well. And so they're all elements that are really important in the psychedelic experience. And then after the experience, the neuroplastic window is a crucial time. And that's why I'm not just giving people medicine. I have a program that I've created around the medicine where you have to do integration coaching, you do preparation work, you have to come into this with intention. This isn't just using a medicine and expecting it's going to fix me. Ketamine opens the door. You have to walk through the door. The daily practice is the key. Everything in life takes maintenance, and you tend to get out what you put in. You have to put that effort in. And it's you, so why not put that effort into it, right? And become the best version of you and use something to get unstuck. My goal for every patient day one, because I think if you go to a doctor and they're going to put you on medications, they should have the conversation of, hey, when are you going to come off this? Not just get you through today. What's our plan long term? And I'll have that conversation with everybody day one. My goal for everyone is to get to the point where they don't actually need to come back and see me anymore because they realize that they are the medicine. So I have a me versus me bracelet on my wrist here. The word medicine, what's the first two letters? ME. Mental health, what's the first two letters? ME. Me. Meditation, first two letters. Me. Comedy's also got a little hidden me in there, so does James. So, like, you are basically the medicine. You have to realize that your thoughts dictate your reality. So ask yourself, am I the cure or am I the curse? And just have that degree of self-reflection at every moment as you go throughout the day. That's hard to do, but it starts with, today can be day one, or you keep saying one day, or is today day one, where you're going to create that fork in the road, the train goes on a new track, and you get to leave the past in the past and become the best version of you. Psychedelics allow you to shed those layers. And that's what I really felt like in my own life. Like I said, I'll be very tangential here, but it's like, how did I really get into psychedelics? Well, for my own healing journey. My dad drowned when I was 21 years old. He was 47 back in 2002. And that was the biggest trauma in my life. 2 weeks later, my appendix ruptured. I almost died. I was in the hospital for a week. 21 years old, like boom, getting rocked. Like world's like, hey, time to wake up, James. And I had the free will to respond to that or not, right? You have the free will of choice to a certain degree. Even the word choice right in the middle, OIC, OIC, I have a choice, right? And so sometimes your choices are limited, but trying to like see what are my choices here, right? It's an event that you can't control plus response equals outcome. E plus R equals O. Not event plus reaction. The animal reacts, the human responds. We are all animals, and some of us are more human. It depends, like, if we're responding or reacting, right? So we have the animalistic, subconscious to us. So it's just real, oh, no, I'm the human. I'm the conscious human. I'm the conscious being. I can respond. I don't need to react. So I'm in the hospital, and I decide I want to become a doctor. I basically had an epiphany, October 27th, 2002. Just by chance, game seven of the World Series. Giants were playing the Angels. Angels beat the Giants last time they won the World Series. Kind of wild. Very kind of really just serendipity and auspicious is a word I learned from Amanda before. And it all, I just really feel like it is still all happening for me, not to me. I remember you were outside Entheon on opening day, Amanda, and you're like, man, I have to like lead a lot of this global art, visionary art movement. It's like, why me? Why me? And I said, well, why not you? And you were like, exactly, why not me? And for so anything that you're going through right now, why not you to deal with it? Because I don't know what's after this life. It's the biggest question in this life. And you can't take any of this stuff with you. But the thing we don't know is maybe you could take the memories, the wisdom, the experiences with you. Maybe. And if you can, make some great ones while you're here. And so over time, I slowly, with my two partners, went from still doing anesthesia. We would have two of us in the clinic. One of us would be in the hospital or surgery center doing anesthesia, and we split everything three different ways. We, for 2 years, did that until we realized that we could make a jump from anesthesia practice into the clinics. And then we opened a second clinic in 2023. So we have Scottsdale 2021 till now, and then Gilbert 2023 till now. We have 11 rooms total. I bring a lot of different technologies into the clinic as well, like vibroacoustics, which is amazing as well, and essential oils and the music we all pick out for you, all those different things. And because those are really important, like the more senses I can bring into an experience, the more likely you're going to create like a neural web and you're going to remember the actual experience. And now we're doing this full time. I've done over 17,000 ketamine infusions since 2020. This is me, like, this is my ikigai. Find what you love, what you're good at. The world needs it, and you can make a living from it. Anesthesia was not my ikigai. I did like it, but I did not love it. And a lot of times you don't get to talk to the person that much, right? You might talk for a few minutes and then you're putting them to sleep. And I remember like a couple months ago, I was talking to a surgeon and he's made a jump out of the regular Western medical, hospital-based environment as well. He's like, man, you need to get out there and talk. You can't just be behind the curtain. giving people anesthesia. Like then you're not sharing your art with this world. So that's the thing, like share your art with this world. Whether it's getting on the vision train and turning on your camera and just giving an opportunity for a chance to happen, plant those seeds, you know?
You've got some really great, I mean, you're obviously a wordsmith. I think everybody can realize that by now, but some of your poetry, I think you're one of these like unique characters that can see the patterning and the way things connect. So
Thank you.
you're kind of this weaver between worlds of different mediums, right? And being a medicine, you're a contemporary. I remember coming out of one of those sessions being like, yeah, you're a contemporary shaman of
Yeah.
a contemporary kind of medicine because this
Yeah.
medicine that you're administering is a contemporary thing, right? This
Correct.
isn't some.
Well, yeah, it's the only federally legal psychedelic right now, but it's also ketamine. First ever human administration was August 3rd, 1964. It was first synthesized in 1962, and it was FDA approved in 1970. So it's been around over 50 years. We just ignored, at least in the medical community, the antidepressant qualities of it until about the year 2000, when they had studies at Yale University and proved that it had a rapid antidepressant effect. But people knew this out in the public, but really the medical community sometimes is slow to adopt these things. So I look at it as almost like the psychedelic Trojan horse because you cannot take ketamine out of medicine because literally it's used in operating rooms around the world every single day, saving many, many lives. It is the only anesthetic that does not decrease your drive to breathe when it's on its own. Now, if you mix it with alcohol or opioids or benzodiazepines, it's a different story, but on its own, it's not going to stop your breathing. So it is inherently very, very safe. It's actually a derivative of phencyclidine or angel dust, but that was deemed unsuitable in humans. It just has a very potent action on the NMDA receptor, and that's how ketamine works, the N-methyl deaspartate receptor, and that's where glutamate would bind to. And glutamate is your most abundant excitatory neurotransmitter as a human. And so it's blocking that receptor. So think of it as like it's blocking the gas pedal, right? And if you block enough gas pedals, then guess what? You're going to have general anesthesia. So two ways you kind of put people to sleep is either you block the gas pedal or you hit the brake pedal. So hitting the brake pedal would be the GABA receptor. That's where Xanax works on, propofol works on that receptor. And so just kind of think of it as excitatory and inhibitory, just to kind of make it really simple to conceptualize gas pedal, brake pedal. And so I have medicines that will, hit the brake pedal and medicines that will inhibit the gas pedal. And then some that will actually induce the gas pedal as well, like an epinephrine or something like that. If I have to kind of bring someone's sympathetic nervous system back online, get their heart rate up, blood pressure up, perfusion, say trauma type scenario of sorts. Yeah, I mean, it's anesthesia is amazing. I was so like just enamored with it when I was coming up as a medical student. It was the only thing that like I remember literally like being in an operating room and first being really focused on the surgery over the curtain because I thought I wanted to go into surgery. I love the operating room. It's the battlefield of medicine. Like things happen there. It's definitely a fork in the road for people. And then slowly but surely over time, my focus shifted from watching the surgery to what's going on back here. This is quite interesting. And then one patient at a time I liked. And then that operating room was cold a lot of times, but I remember the first couple times I would intubate and you're looking at those vocal cords, the pearly white gates. I didn't like have any cold feeling. I was just laser focused. I could feel that adrenaline surge. And I was like, okay, this is the field for me. A lot of times in life, it's hard to be like 100% certain that it's the right thing. But with anesthesia, I was like, this is it. This is the thing. And then I've just evolved it into the psychedelic medicine because that's really my true passion is psychedelic medicine. And I will say, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. It's a Wayne Gretzky quote. So, like, I would rather try and fail, or I would rather try and fail than never try and wonder. And so I generally say like fail, FAIL, first attempt in learning. And so I didn't want to be 70 or 80 years old one day and look back and be like, man, what if I started that psychedelic medicine clinic back in 2020? What could have been? Instead, now I get to know what was going to happen. And then as a plan B, could always go back and do anesthesia, right? There's a massive demand for it as well.
Well, you've started now out of the first clinic that started in 21, right?
Yeah.
That you have now two or three?
Well, we started in
Two.
Peoria 2020, subleasing space from a friend of mine as a podiatrist, just
Right.
to kind of pilot the idea. And 2020 is such a weird time. Like literally, we drive from the East Valley, like I live in Gilbert, and drive all the way to Peoria, which people that kind of know the valley, it's like at least an hour drive. But during COVID, there was no traffic, So it was like me and my partner, Dr. Sharma, would drive out there together in his car, listen to podcasts, and like it was such a weird time. Just really, I didn't have a lot of work anyways because I had moved into more elective surgery, anesthesia, and a lot of the elective cases were canceled. So I was like, man, there's not much work anyways. Let's give this a try. Because I knew there was a ketamine clinics out there, and I was like, I think I could do this better. And so then we gave it a chance, and slowly but surely, it took us 2 years to then jump from anesthesia into the ketamine clinic full time. And people always, like just to kind of, because obviously it's not inexpensive. That's definitely a thing to talk about as well. Like access is important. But like people say, are you doing this for the money? No, because I could go back and do general anesthesia and make an insane amount of money. Because when I left anesthesia, the reimbursement went like a freaking exponential. It's insane. And so I'm doing this because it's my passion. Right? I still make a good living, but I could have made way more if it was just about the money. Stay doing anesthesia. This is my passion. And ultimately, you can't take, there's no U-Haul behind the hearse. You can't take any of this stuff with you. And so I want to make an impact. And I get to make more of an impact doing this. To be able to like walk alongside someone during a psychedelic experience and help them move through a state of suffering and transform and become a better version of themselves, what an honor and a privilege as a human being. Like I treat the medicine with great reverence, and we're always trying to make it better and better. And then also we do something called stellate ganglion block, which is an ultrasound guided nerve block. So think of it like ketamine is a software reset or reboot for your nervous system. And then this block that we do now, we've been started doing a couple of years ago, but we're not doing it when you came down to visit me. It's like a hardware reset for your nervous system. So ultrasound guidance, block at cervical 6, cervical 4. And that with the ketamine is an incredible protocol in addition with the coaching. And we're getting some like massive transformations. We do a lot of work with first responders, police officers, firefighters. We have a contract with the Phoenix VA, thanks to Dr. Sharma, put a lot of work in to get that to happen. And so we're continuing to evolve this and try to make it better and better. And when other psychedelics come online, because it looks like, maybe 2027, 2028, that might start happening, we would love to be positioned to then, ketamine clinics are the ideal places to then bring those other psychedelics, under this roof essentially.
Well, and you are like a bridge for a lot of people,
The bridge, yeah,
that
yeah.
are, maybe don't have the access. And this
Mm.
is, I think that's right where you're in that special nexus point of. And I remember being there when you guys were doing this study with the Phoenix Fire Department
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
fire chief coming out of, I think, his like last session or one of his last sessions, and sharing with us directly. He said, this has saved my life. And
Mhm.
like some of my guys too, or like, they carry so much and end up deep in their own struggle with alcoholism, or ways of coping based
Yeah.
on like the kind of stuff that they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. And so it seems to be such a no-brainer to get this kind of work. And what's so cool about what you guys do, what we learned then as well, is that the emphasis on the integration work
Mhm.
and having an integration coach. And to me, it seemed obvious,
Mhm.
uh, that that it would be that way, but then learning that so many clinics don't have that. And then even
That's correct.
imagining like not even having the art or the scope, like when you come up with the essential oils and all the little things that you do that you put value on of multisensory, to
Mhm.
help people also remember and integrate and create those new pathways. It seems like such a logical connection, right? So
100%.
do you teach as well? Or is that something that you feel like you'll go towards?
Well, I am a certified psychedelic integration coach. We brought in people that, became employees with us, so I had to kind of teach them what we do. So as far as like teaching and having like a course or something like that, I don't have that. That'd be cool in the future. Like if I could work more on the business and teaching others how to really hold space, in what I think is an optimal way. But you nailed it with the integration. Like in order to become great, we must integrate, and to integrate something is to make it whole. Take that experience. Don't just let it fade into the distance. Go back and pull the threads from it and continue to visit it. Right? I've taught people often, I'm like, when you go on vacation when you're a kid, you remember it a ton, right? Well, why? Because you take a ton of pictures and you go back and you look at the pictures. And so if you just had that experience of vacation and didn't take any pictures and then go back and talk about the vacation with your family and friends, you wouldn't remember it as much. It's because we put so much emphasis on it. And so every like when you go back, like it's all neural circuitry. So when I tell people like what we're doing here is the human brain has over 80 billion neurons. There's a little over 8 billion people on planet Earth. You have 10 times as many neurons in your brain as there are people on this planet. It's really unfathomable to even try to comprehend. Take it a step further, you have over 36 trillion cells inside your body, and then just as many microbes, your microbiome, trillions of cells inside this human organism. We are a living, breathing, conscious universe. And we're all just like nodes in this massive web, like kind of Indra's net that Alex and Allison talk about. And so it's just realizing at that level, that's where it's all happening. And so ketamine is going to change a shift, create a shift in those neural circuits, right? Within 24 to 72 hours of an infusion, you have something called a critical learning period, a neuroplastic window, where you get dendritic spine formation on the neurons. There's like little new tree branches essentially. And so that's why you literally feel like you get unstuck because you have new pathways, because that's where life is occurring, is microscopically at that receptor cellular level. And that's how doctors really think, at least they should think, is at that microscopic receptor level, because that's where life is happening. We're at this macro version of it right now, but we're still also so microscopic, right? Zoom out, you could literally fit 1 million of our Earth inside of our one sun. You could fit 4 million of our sun inside of our one black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, Sagittarius A. And then there's something like 2 trillion, galaxies in the observable universe. This is beyond human comprehension. So what do you do with this information? Try not to sweat the small stuff and realize that the present moment is a gift. And maybe that's why we call it the present. And the only part of life that you're actually in control of is just right now. And maybe it was pre-sent potentially. So it's a remembering. That's what this incarnation, I believe, is. And psychedelics allow you to remember, like, wait, am I doing this again and again? And I'm here to like learn the lessons? Maybe. Like I said, I don't know what's next. I just know I'm here right now. But that's what I feel psychedelics help us to do is to remember. And then literally the word psychedelic, psyche, mind, or spirit, delic, from the Greek word delos, reveal meaning to manifest, to show. So it's mind manifesting, mind revealing. And that word actually came out in 1956 between Humphrey Osmond and Aldous Huxley. They would write letters back and forth. Aldous Huxley wrote the Doors of Perception. That's where the group The Doors got their name from. And in one of his letters to Aldous Huxley, Humphrey Osmond wrote, "To fathom hell or soar angelic, just take a pinch of psychedelic." And if you break that down, to fathom hell, right, to try to understand the darkest, the worst moments, right, to fathom hell or soar angelic, to have the light, the most angelic times in your life, the bliss, the love, those really magical moments, just take a pinch of psychedelic. And a lot of times in a psychedelic experience, you will have an oscillation between the heaven and the hell type of perception, essentially, the light and the dark, right? There's a lot of dualities, in life. So yeah, I mean, it's I just so awesome to be in this field, be able to talk to you. Like, it's a dream come true. Like, this is a dream. Saturday, the last day of Leo season, 8/22. We were supposed to do Lionsgate 8/8. I'm a Leo, just turned 45, 40 thrive, right? Young in the grand scheme of life. And just, be the change and getting to talk to you. Like, this is a seed, right? You're recording this. I don't know who gets to see this in the future, but I know if we didn't record it and we didn't do it, then there is no seed, right? And can our words inspire others, right? To get them to say, you know what? This guy like makes me want to kind of like get up and like answer my calling of like what my true passion is and turn that into my career, right? Psychology is more contagious than the flu. So if you get around the right people, you're going to be empowered. You're going to level up. Can you go from victim to victor? Well, if you hang around with people on the vision train, that's more likely to happen versus if you're suffering in silence, at your home. Choo choo.
We got this. I mean, we're so grateful to, it takes somebody recognizing and seeing your gift
Thank
as
you.
well. It's so important to have these reflections. I know myself as an artist over all the years, and I was just talking about this yesterday with a friend, how there's this weave that happens of like times where you're feeling great, and you could just translate this to anything in life where, you're feeling successful, so you're being acknowledged, you're feeling the acknowledgement and the fulfillment of your life and your work.
Mhm.
And then there's times when it dips and you're kind of like, oh, I maybe I'm doing something wrong. Nobody's like this or that. And it like it's kind of this ebb and flow of life, right?
Yes.
But I found over and over again that sometimes those dipping down into those places of questioning and having to kind of like um, surrender, right? Can put one into a space of then all of a sudden something will show up that will be like, oh my God, I'm I'm a part of this mystery and this beautiful, like complex experience of life and all of the people that are out there. I am not alone. And
Hmm.
like the the curiosity and just like how amazing it can be. And I find this just as an artist, making art and how I'll make a painting sometimes and then, you know, it'll take years for it to really resonate with somebody
Hmm.
on a scale of where I'm like, you're taking it further than I even took it, you know? But it's
Maybe
totally
like the
possible.
Divine Emergence. How many years did you have that painting travel around the world with you? And then I saw it at Maps 2023
Yeah.
and it spoke to me. And I was
Yeah.
like, I gotta bring that spirit home with me. And it's
And it,
tiny. I get to bring it on the plane with me. It was cool.
yeah, it's a tiny little painting. And it's so
Yeah.
interesting how that painting then ended up also on that cover of that book and then
Yeah.
became like the poster that we did that year too.
Correct.
And
Yeah. Preparation for Sacred Psychedelic Journey.
so it took years. When did I finish that painting? I think it was maybe I had started in maybe like 2016 or 17. It's written on the back. But
I think it
then,
was almost like 9 years. I think I remember you telling me. We
right.
were literally
And
we were inside Meow Wolf in Denver. I was
yeah,
with you and Joe, but I'm like, I want to buy that painting. I wanted to bring something home with me. I love people like say you can't buy time, and I'm like, actually, if you buy original art, the amount of time that human being put in front of that canvas, you
right.
just bought time. And so that's why I really do like original art, and I have various pieces, in my collection because I'm like, oh, I bought a piece of that time. Like your energy in front of that canvas, even though it's tiny, it has so much meaning to me. It's just like a little
Totally.
spiritual being. I was like this little entity,
And it
and
is. I
it's
feel I have some weird intuitive feeling that in the future we'll be able to have more sensitivity around that, like towards things that have, it's the difference between a reproduction, a print, like, and
Mhm.
as much as it can be so beautifully done, so you don't,
Sure,
but it's still like the handmade thing is something that is somebody's life energy. And
correct.
there's this direct connect that's happening of like, when you question, Joe Bob says this all the time, it's like, do you actually, like, you say you know how to walk? If you ask me, do you know how to walk? No, of course I do.
Yeah.
But it's like, but do you really, or do you just do it? Like if you can, right? Or whatever it is, like painting, or like, is that actually you doing that? Like, do you know all the things that have to happen
A
for
lot's
that
going on beneath the
to,
surface that you're not even conscious of. Your autonomics, right? You're not telling your heart to beat right now, but it's doing it, and you're alive, so it's doing it quite well.
right,
Right? So it's like trusting that, there's an innate healing intelligence inside of us, and you have to tap into that. But what happens a lot of times is the ego gets in the way. In your ego is your learned identity of self. So oftentimes I'll tell patients, look at this analogy. Imagine you fell and scraped your knee, right? And you'd have a scraped knee, and like, do you have to tell you that wound on your knee to heal itself? Of
right,
course not. So then how does it know to do that? Well, at a cellular level, of course, like cytokines get released into the bloodstream, which are little chemical SOS messengers essentially to bring healing factors to that area. But there's an innate healing intelligence, is what I'm trying to get after. But if you take dirt, you start rubbing it in that wound, aren't you going to impede the healing process? Of course you will. So then I look at depression and trauma and anxiety as like a scraped knee of the psyche. But then why can't you heal? Because the ego is the dirt. And the ego would rather keep you in a familiar hell than allow you to move into an unfamiliar heaven. Your brain is a prediction organ, and it just wants the same. It just wants the familiar. It'll keep you in the wrong job, the wrong geographic location, the wrong relationship, just for the sake of familiarity. Once you're aware of that, then you can actually shift and change. But it can be hard to change sometimes because you're so wired, neural circuitry wise, because you've been doing the same thing day in and day out. And that's where a psychedelic can come in as a pattern interrupter and give you neuroplasticity and help you to shift. I always tell people do not make any big life decisions within 24 to 48 hours of a psychedelic journey. You can write the ideas down, but don't make any big life decisions. Like, don't all of a sudden quit your job, get a divorce, like sell all your possessions. Let it play out a little bit, like let it play out. Listen to the messages that come through, but give it time and examine it in a sober state as well. Right. So you can get a lot of answers or downloads. I remember you were like, I feel like I have space in my brain the next day. So I was able to get these downloads, these insights essentially. And I was like, oh, it's like we're defragmenting the human hard drive. Like our human hard drive gets full. And then psychedelics done properly in a safe and container and the dosing, integration, preparation, all the things help to defragment the human hard drive and make space. So then more downloads and insights can come through.
Yeah. I mean, I found like my work with psychedelics has been over the years, it's like I like to do a refresh, from time to time.
Yeah,
And I let it be kind of a fluid thing too, in sense of like, well, what's needed. And sometimes I'll get the message, through the field of like, it's time to go on go up into the hills and do a deep dive. Or
totally.
however, there's many ways to go about it, but being safe and intentional is like
Is the
what I
key.
hear
That's the
through
difference
what
between
you,
a tool or a weapon.
yeah.
Like here's the cascade of order, at least that's what I tell patients is number one is always safety. If you do not feel safe, you cannot even start to change. You must feel safe. The second step is awareness. You have to be aware that you want to make a change. Number three, agency. At the end of the day, you are responsible for what goes into your body, food wise, what content you allow your eyeballs to see. You're not just eating with your mouth, you're eating with your eyes and your ears at all times. What are you allowing into your internal environment that's going to influence this organism? And then safety, awareness, agency. And if you can engage in those things over time, you can then get a transformation. So I call it the new SAT. Now, you did also touch upon a few key words. So I want to get these are like Dr. Latham's like 101. I call it Latham theory. Like Mel Robbins has let them theory. Well, I have Latham theory. And so you said the word surrender, you said the word curiosity. I was like, okay, I want to mention this. Any psychedelic experience that you're in, if you can remember to do these seven things, you can navigate whatever comes up. And it is this in no particular order, but these are the things: trust, let go, be open, be curious, allow, receive, surrender. If you could do those seven things in the medicine, in addition, the breath. The breath is the key. The mind follows the breath, the body follows the mind. The mind follows the breath, the body follows the mind. So if you can use your breath to calm the mind, which will in turn calm the body, do those seven different words I just mentioned. And then number nine, the last thing, scan your body, look for areas of tension, and give those areas attention. Give the tension attention. Why? Because the issues are in the tissues.
We need bumper
Touche.
stickers.
Yeah, I
I,
mean, these are things I tell patients every day. So I love holding space as well. And like maybe not everyone's ready to receive these types of things. So you got to meet people where they're at as well, being really sensitive to that too. If there's one thing I wanted people to remember about ketamine, like one thing to take home with you, it is literally this. Ketamine is the most rapid acting anti-suicidal agent in all of medicine, and most people are unaware of that. And there's an epidemic of suicide in our society. And if they have not tried ketamine in a safe, intentional manner in a space like what we create here, then they have not opened every door and turned over every stone to look for a solution to move beyond their wanting to end their life. And nothing works as rapidly as ketamine for breaking someone out of a suicidal loop. And I've seen it many times with first responders, with the general public. Mental health does not discriminate. Like literally all walks of life, all races, genders, it does not matter. Anyone, if you are a human being, you can have mental health struggles. They say one in five Americans struggles with a mental health, um, you know, disease, disorder at some point in time in their life. It's over 50 million Americans. My youngest patient ever in our clinic, 12 years old, they had already tried to kill themselves. Otherwise, I would never infuse a 12-year-old with ketamine. And then they're still alive to this day, and they're 17 years old. So happy to report that. Number two, oldest patient I've ever infused, 87. So massive range there. I've had people in their 70s that have never touched a psychedelic that have then done ketamine as their first psychedelic experience. And I know it sounds extreme, like IV ketamine is your first psychedelic. Well, in actuality, it's the most controllable because I have everything on an infusion pump. And so I can literally just press stop and I can bring you out of the experience in less than 10 minutes. And so the only way you're going to get a human being to really, really relax is if they still feel like they have an element of control. And you do when you do intravenous infusion, not drip from a bag, but on a pump. So it's very specific and precise. And you can just press stop and I can bring people out very gently. So always the first infusion, I tell people we're just dipping your toe in the psychedelic pool. And then when I come in at the halfway point, if you want to go deeper into the medicine, we can do ankle deep or knee deep, but we're not diving in day one. We're gonna go nice and slow, right? There's layers and steps to this, and I want to always like I'd rather underwhelm you than ever overwhelm you. I want to respect you as a human being. And when I bring you into a non-ordinary state of consciousness for the first time, it can be a lot to, like, what the heck was that? It is literally ineffable. Ketamine's a show you, not a tell you. My favorite analogy for really explaining psychedelics to people that have never done them is we've all seen a sunset. Well, imagine I had a blind person in this room right here. Can you explain a sunset with words to the blind person? Good luck. I don't care how like just verbose your and articulate your vernacular is. You will not be able to live up to what it's like to watch that sunset. And that's another one of Dr. Latham's biohacks is if you can watch the sun rise the first 5 minutes and you can watch the sun set the last 5 minutes, 3 days in a row, you will reset your nervous system and you will be looking at life through a completely different lens. It's free, but it does take some effort. And it's got to be the first five and last five. You can stare directly at that golden ball 93 million miles away. It takes 8.5 minutes for the photons to reach the back of your retina, and it will reset you. You do not have to wear sunglasses. The first 5 minutes, last 5 minutes. Beyond that, you miss the key window. It's low solar angle light. And it's very healing. I mean, the sun makes all life possible on planet Earth. So you are literally looking at creator energy right there. We're essentially the evolution of light energy, over billions and billions of years. Or we're an alien ant farm. I don't know. Who knows?
Oh my God, this is so fun. Well, I want to open it up because I know we have so many interesting characters that are jumping on the train with us. I'm going to zoom
Cool.
us back out onto the so we can see the full crew, and we have quite a few folks that work also in these fields of integration or psychedelics and interfacing with art. And so I know some of you out there might have some really interesting questions and would love to open this up. And I just want to reiterate too that Dr. James has been such a big supporter of the Vision Train and what we're doing here in this experimental station, right, of art and community and creative like inquiry. And I just want to thank you so much, Dr. James, again.
You're welcome. It's an honor and a privilege. Like, I mean, there was a couple of people I think I put through some of the art schools and like expecting zero in return. And one of them painted Maria Sabina, like an amazing work of art. And it is now hanging in my Scottsdale clinic, it's in the room where the ketamine is because I want like that energy to be like blessing the ketamine essentially.
Right.
So that was like it's really cool, like give without expecting to get anything in return because life gives to the giver.
Yeah.
And so and even just like that's how I am. Like if I can help put someone through an art school and then they get to like live their passion, I mean that's an honor and privilege. I mean remember Victor that we
Yeah.
met at MAPS together? Like I helped put him through I think a session at Cosm or whatnot, or with you and Joe Bob when you
Yep.
were there. Like that's a privilege to be able to do that. Like I've worked hard, but also like don't just let your money sit in the bank. Like how can you make your money work for you and help other people? And then give it without any expectation of getting something back. And then it's really awesome. Sometimes you get a lot of things back. I had no intention of coming on here and having this conversation. You just kind of offered it to me. And this has been a long time coming because I remember back in 2021 when we met, and then 2022 after that, you had Jen Bruce, your integration coach, come on with you. And you were like, hey, if you want to come on, it just never happened. Like life, life's gonna life. It gets busy, but here we are. So it's good things come to those who wait.
Well, I also hope that this is the beginning of, and I sense, because there's some stuff that I want to talk about that I have a feeling we're not even going to get to today. So maybe we'll have a post-it note. We'll find like the right numerology, which it just always comes. It happens, and it's fun. You just kind of, take your arrow and put an approximate direction,
Yeah.
and it'll land. It's the same thing as like you got to start somewhere. You got to, you hesitate, and you're like, oh, well, I don't really have the skills or the tools. But you got to start somewhere, and then it will reveal itself, right? So
Correct.
if you
Yes.
guys,
Action
anybody
provides
out there that
information.
wants to ask a question, put up your hand or put it in the chat. I just want to put it out there as
There
we
was a really cool quote I wanted to just like bring that someone put in the chat that I liked, and it's from Zarzor in Cocoa, Florida. The opposite of depression isn't happiness, it's expression. And I would definitely agree with that. Like depression is like you're depressing your emotions, you're pushing it down. You're not expressing yourself, right? So to express yourself, if you want to shift your emotions, you have to get into motion. And expression is a form of motion.
yeah, it is. It's
You got to
proactive.
feel it to heal it, you know?
It's proactive. I mean, I feel this every time. I feel like the stakes get higher and higher every time I pick up the paintbrush. And therefore, you know that painting by Alex Gray, it's the artist painting and there's all the little demons hanging off of the the one side of it, right? And
Yeah.
then, you know, it's they're always there looking for you know, to feed off of, you know, your life energy. And it's like,
Hmm.
so you got to build more and more skills too of recognizing them and moving forward with what your intention is, you
You
know.
got to push them out. Like you can't necessarily control your thoughts. The thoughts is going to happen. It's going to pop into your brain. But what you are in control of is do you stay on that negative thought channel or
Right.
do you change the channel? And that's the response, right? The event is the negative thought occurs. You know, so maybe a self-limiting beliefs of sorts. I can't do that. Well, I'll tell you, it took me 3 times to get into med school. I didn't give up. And I had to get out of my own way. That's why we're the me versus me. Is get out of your own way and become the best version of you. And I was like, at a realization that I was like, well, anyone that's ever done anything of significance on planet Earth, what are they? A human. What are you? A human, and we all share the same 99.9% DNA. So then it's not that you can't do it, it's that you probably can do it. You just need to believe that you can do it. Right? So start to remove I can't statements from your vocabulary. As they say, words are spells, and that's why they call it spelling. And so the thoughts are words inside your head. And so you just got to ask yourself, like, what am I programming myself with, negativity or positivity? Right? And I try, me too. I have the negative thoughts, like, this is a great quote I heard a month ago. Worrying is like praying for the things you don't want. Would you ever pray for something you don't want? Of course not. Then stop worrying. I can't believe I lived 45 years of life and didn't hear that, or 44 years of life, didn't hear that until recently. And that just like landed with me. Worrying is like praying for the things you don't want.
Yeah, it's wild because it's that whatever you're putting out there, you're attracting, right? Like
Yeah,
you're
for
giving
sure.
energy, you're giving your energy too.
Yeah, I mean, everything is energy. I mean, to get, sure, it sounds woo-woo, but I read a book recently and it said, no woo-woo, no guru. And I was like, well, shit, then there we go. Because
Right.
everything is energy. We're energy in human form.
We are. So Lori asks in the chat, could you speak a bit to the differences between the IV and the troches?
Yeah, the trochees.
The
Yeah, would
trochees.
love to. Yeah, so I generally do like 99% of the time in our clinic, we do intravenous. And the main reason is because it's so controllable and because the bioavailability. And so as the anesthesiologist, like I am just like all about pharmacology, pharmacokinetics, and I want to give that person like an experience that I can control as much as possible. And so a troche or a lozenge is about 25 to 30% bioavailable. Bioavailability is what percentage of the drug goes into your bloodstream and then gets to the cells and gets into your brain and actually has an effect. And so IV is 100%. Intramuscular is in the 90% range, subcutaneous in the low 90% range. And then troches are about 25 to 30%. There's also nasal spray around 40%. It all depends on like what the mucosa is like. Say someone has like, say they're really stuffed up, they have like congestion, a sinus issue, then they're probably not going to have the same amount of absorption. And what we're trying to do is get it to skip something called first pass liver metabolism. So ketamine's metabolized extensively in the liver, but if I can get it into the bloodstream first without it having to go through the gastrointestinal tract in the liver, then I can have more of an effect. So troches, we have patients that will go on to that only once they've done a series with me. I want to foster a good doctor-patient relationship, and I want to figure their dose out for them and help them to learn how to work with the medicine in a productive way. And then depending on, that person and where their scores are, because everything's evidence-based, we use different survey scores for mental health. These are things like the PHQ-9 for depression, the GAD-7 for anxiety, the PCL-5 for PTSD. We look at an ACEs score, which is Adverse Child Experience score. We do an SSRS, which is a suicidal ideation survey as well. So we're trying to look at all these different things, trying to put a quantifiable number on the symptoms because emotions are, tough to measure. And as the saying goes, if you don't measure something, you can't manage it. And so we'll get baseline scores on someone and then a baseline score compared to at their fourth infusion before it, they'll do scores again. And then at their sixth infusion, they'll do scores again. So we have 3 data points to show the change from baseline over the course of 2 to 3 weeks. And then based on how they've done, and also like, are they a little bit like financially sensitive? Like, do they not have a lot of discretionary income? Then troches can be a way to access the medicine and get benefit and not have to come into the clinic and have an IV infusion once we've worked with each other, right? You still want to stabilize someone that if you're in deep, deep suicidal ideation, deep PTSD and depression, IV is the way to go. The lozenges is more for like very mild depression. You already maybe know how to kind of do the work. You've been to a therapist for many years and you just need this catalyst. So the troches are good, but I usually generally call like troches are like snorkeling and then IV is like scuba diving. So like you're both in the water, but one's a very different view essentially. So troches, I'll allow people to do them max twice a week at home. If they're chronic pain patients, we might let up to 3 times a week. So it's all on a case by case basis. They have to consent to the fact that they're having a controlled substance medication at home. They're not going to share it. They're not going to divert it. They're going to take it as indicated and as prescribed and recommended. It's not, oh, I didn't need it this week, so now I'm going to do it 4 times next week. No, no, no. Then we're not taking it as directed. So we want to always be aware that ketamine is a known drug of abuse, and we want to stay a tool and not become a weapon. So troches are okay, but I try to tell people to mimic the clinic. So in your home, eye mask, the mindfold that Alex invented back in 1978. We use that in our clinic. It's awesome. It was intended for psychedelic journeys to go within. As I say, go within, get beyond how you're feeling, right? If you're sitting there looking around the room while you're on a psychedelic, well, guess where your focus is? It's outside of yourself. Wherever your focus goes, your energy flows. I'm trying to heal inside of me, right? Not outside of me. So go within. And so do the eye mask, put the music on. I send you all the music we use in the clinic, right? I'm not coveted with this information. I'm trying to share it with you. And then have a protected space for 90 minutes to 2 hours. No one's going to come interrupt you. If you're in your home environment, how do you know someone's not going to come ring the doorbell? How do you know the dog's not going to start barking? Right? All that's going to influence you. Also have a sitter at home as well. Right? A dirty secret in industry is people have died doing the lozenges at home. But the bigger companies out there have kind of squashed that information, but you can find it. And it's people that were taking very, very, very high doses of troches at home. Because also like it's specifically, no, I'm not giving medical advice here. Okay. I'm not your doctor, but I'm just saying that there's a specific way in which to do the hold with the troche. And there's companies out there, I'm not even going to name names, but we all seen them. And they will tell people to hold the medicine for 7 minutes and spit everything out. And so what that does is then they have to take a massive amount of medicine to get the same effect versus if they would do a hold and swallow technique. And then you're making people have an opportunity to misuse that medicine. Because if they're giving you like 3, 4 times the medicine because you're doing a hold and spit and instead you hold and swallow, well, it can be game over for people that can have like a hypertensive emergency of sorts. And there was a guy in his 20s that had just that, and they were just refilling his prescription without having check-ins. So the telehealth industry has blown up since COVID. There's something called the Ryan Haight Act, Haight, that got put on. Basically, it's suspended right now. And it's happened because of COVID. You used to have to see a physician or a medical provider in person before they could ever prescribe a controlled substance to you. And that's been put on hold because of COVID because people couldn't have access. And so now you literally with telehealth, you can get a controlled medicine like ketamine sent to your house. And so they're supposed to have a vote on that again at the end of this year. And so that might change. And I honestly hope it does. I think it's a little out of hand. Like there's companies that will send people vials of ketamine to inject subcutaneously at home, which is Matt Perry's situation. You're just telling people to inject it subcutaneous instead of intramuscular or IV. So you think everyone's going to follow what you're saying? I think it's a ticking time bomb, unfortunately, and I hope it doesn't ruin the industry because I'm helping a lot of people with this, and I want to treat it with reverence and not allow it to kind of just get out of hand. Because there could be some bad actors out there. There could. So that's a long answer to the difference between troches and IV, but hopefully that kind of answers the question. So it's same medicine, different route of administration. Ketamine is one of the most versatile medicines in all of medicine. I don't know of another medicine that has its own society. It's literally called the American Society of Ketamine Physicians, Psychotherapists, and Practitioners, ASKP3. We meet every year in Austin, as of the past few years in January. So I'll be there again. I'm a member there. It's a fantastic organization. And we saw this industry like really getting out of control with the at-home use. And we've even spoken up as an organization, and nothing has changed because there's a lot of money, venture capital money, backing some of these players in the space. And yeah, ketamine, man. So many routes of administration, whether it's a troche, intramuscular, nasal, subcutaneous. There's even suppositories. I mean, so many different routes of administration, all with different bioavailabilities as well. There is an insurance covered version of ketamine. It's called Spravato or S-ketamine, and so it's just half the molecule. So think of like every molecule essentially. So I even have the ketamine molecule right here on my neck right here. And so ketamine exists as we call a racemic. So 50% right hand, 50% left hand. My hands look exactly the same, right? Sure, until I try to superimpose them on one another. They're mirror images. And so that's kind of how molecules exist. And so they just took the left hand of ketamine, the S isomer, S ketamine, and they were able to patent it in the United States. And they have like basically a monopoly on the market. And it does not work as good as IV. Everybody knows this, but it's a way to access ketamine, and your insurance might cover it. Even like Medicare, I think even Medicaid cover it as well. So if someone's really struggling and they want to look towards a ketamine and they don't have discretionary income, I don't offer Spravato, but there are plenty of clinics out there that do. So that's something you kind of look into. The problem I see with Spravato is there's no integration. You just literally go in, have the medicine, you're there for 2 hours, they take your vital signs, and you go home. But you could also seek out integration on your own. Like I co-authored a workbook with our integration coaching partners, being true to you. So if someone reached out to me and they wanted that workbook, I got no problem. I'll share it with you completely free. I'll, email it to you, no problem. You can put the information, in after. So like just reach out. Like I'm here to really help and empower people, whether I'm, having you as a patient or not, but sharing some of the content we've created. And this Spravato, the max dose is 84 milligrams, but at about 40% bioavailability, you're going to miss a lot of people. I do not have a ceiling to my dosing because as an anesthesiologist, I know how to work with the medicine very safely. And if you just draw arbitrary lines in the sand and say we stop at 84 milligrams, you're going to miss probably at least about 30% of patients that will not respond fully because ketamine's an ego dissolution agent. Psychedelics are ego dissolution agents, and your ego is really going to hold on at those lower doses, and you're not going to be able to fully kind of transform and let go. You're going to have your defenses up to a certain degree because your ego is kind of ringing that alarm of like, something's wrong, something's wrong. We're trying to change here. And so dose really matters. Say I gave you, 100 milligrams of ibuprofen and you had a headache, you'd be like, oh, this doesn't work. Ibuprofen's horrible. And I was like, well, here's 800 milligrams of ibuprofen. How's your headache? And now your headache's gone. So it wasn't the fact that the medicine didn't work, it was the dose. As they say, the dose makes the medicine or the poison.
Yeah, there was a question that came in the chat that was racemic. I don't know what's the difference.
Racemic. Yeah, yeah, that is, so
And
that's what I
as
give.
ketamine.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So IV ketamine that we use in our clinic, that they use in operating rooms, all around this world is generally racemic ketamine, which is 50% R enantiomer and 50% S enantiomer. And S ketamine is just 100% the S left hand enantiomer. And then we know it doesn't work as well as IV. That's a whole nother, rabbit hole to kind of go down with the insurance companies reimburse over $1,000 for a nasal session, which is absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It's crazy because they could pay well less than half of that to IV clinics and get better responses. But it's big pharma, man. Big pharma, insurance companies, You follow the money, you get a lot of answers in life.
Yeah. Well, thanks for breaking this down. I mean, I think that's, and the question was like in terms of effectiveness, the difference between those two for mental health. And I think you already spoke
Yeah,
to
yeah,
that.
to go a little further on it, like any of the studies out there, a lot of times they're just going to compare S-ketamine Spravato to IV ketamine. They're going to do it during the induction period and say that there's only like a 10% difference in outcome with IV being superior to Spravato. If they would follow that out farther, you would actually see a bigger difference. Reason being is people get tolerance to the medicine pretty quickly. And so, yeah, if you do Spravato the first month, maybe even the second month, might be pretty good. You do it twice a week for 4 weeks. And then the second month, you do it once a week for 4 weeks. And then you try to go to like once every other week. You're going to build tolerance and dependency on that medicine. and that same 84 milligrams, because that's where they draw the line in the sand, is not going to go as far anymore. And so a lot of people I inherit from Spravato because it's no longer working, then they go to IV and then it's working again because I can continue to escalate the dose if needed. And I try to get people with time is that, maybe once every 3 to 4 weeks you're doing an infusion. I would try to maybe then go to once a quarter with time. Realize you're the medicine. This gets you unstuck. But if something big happens in life and you need some way to pivot, we call this grief relief as well. Like it definitely can help you to move through the grief process pretty quickly as well, because life's unpredictable. And but knowing you have this neuroplastogen, this neuroplastic agent to shift you out of your stuckness, and just change your thoughts, change your life, it can help you to do that. But you don't want to just do the medicine. You got to do the integration along with preparation. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. And so you got to come into this ready. And the preparation starts at minimum 24 hours before the experience, right? Like everything you're watching on TV, all the conversations you're having, right? Did you get good night's sleep the night before? Like that's going to plant seeds. And I have plenty of times people show up the next day and they're like, oh, this movie I watched last night like came up and I was watching like pyramids of the Egyptians and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, well, like you got to prepare differently. Don't just like all of a sudden show up and expect the medicine's going to kind of do that for you. Like think of you like about, you don't just show up to the canvas. You probably have like a preparation of like maybe you're going to some festival or some event and you're bringing all the proper paint with you. And you might have like music that you want to bring with you. And you have like an idea like sketched out in your mind, like you got to prepare, like proper preparation is a key aspect.
Yeah, so key. That's like such a theme for me right now that I even like drew this in my little train car the other day,
Oh man,
preparation and
there you go. Yeah,
integration.
yeah. I love
And
that.
it's so key. I did this yesterday on our little Friday jam. So there's a question too. What suggestions would you have for a patient who's had bad associations with substances in the past and wants to try ketamine?
Yeah, so I would wonder, if they've had bad associations with the substances, what substances specifically, because I like to speak to specifics. And what I will tell you, at least in our clinic, because people are scared of the bad trip, is that no one in our clinic has a bad trip. You either have a challenging or a less challenging experience. And so if you can look at it through that lens, that everything is here to kind of teach you things. For me, like a bad trip would be, I took LSD, I thought I could fly, I went to the top of the building and jumped and realized I couldn't, and then harmed myself. That's a bad trip, right? Or you did some sort of substance and woke up in jail the next day. That's a bad trip, right? But if you have a challenging experience, it's still just all happening in your mind. And so then it's oftentimes the challenging experiences that become our greatest teachers if you allow them to be, right? And so it's a reframing. You got to reframe it in order to reclaim it. You got to name it to tame it, and you got to feel it to heal it. That's from my friend Casey Dubrovic. It's Psychedelic Iatry. It's a fantastic book on Amazon. You can check it out. Show him some love. But he has those three little wizard lines basically in that book, right? Reframe it to reclaim it. So this bad experience you had, how do we reframe it? Reframe it so you can reclaim that you actually are in control. Because the past experiences don't necessarily mean you're going to have a bad experience in the future or a challenging experience in the future. But me personally, my challenging experiences in psychedelics became my greatest teachers. I mean, a hallmark of ketamine is ego dissolution or dissociative experience or ego death, right? All essentially the same thing, but different ways of saying it, thinking that you all of a sudden ended your life and it was over. And it seems realer than real. And then there's a degree of like bargaining, like, I want to come back to life. I didn't say goodbye to my wife, my son, like, please give me one more chance. And then you emerge from the medicine, you're like, oh, geez, you got me once again, right? It's, well, pardon my French, it's a mind fuck in there sometimes. It's a mental marathon, right? But if you go in there and you trust and you let go and you surrender, right, all the seven things I said earlier, then you can navigate whatever comes up. So if I'm having an infusion, I'm literally whispering the words, be curious while I'm in there. Why? Because as a human being, it's nearly impossible to be anxious and curious at the exact same time. It's nearly impossible to be scared or fearful and curious at the exact same time. This is another Dr. Lathamism I often say to people. We've all heard curiosity killed the cat, right? I say it to every patient that comes to the clinic, like 100% of people I've all heard curiosity killed the cat. Now, I would love if even one person in this room knew what the next line was after that. Anybody know? Curiosity killed the cat. What's next? I'll give it to you, okay? but satisfaction brought it back. So sometimes when you are curious, you derive more satisfaction and actually brings you back to life. Now, why did they only teach us the curiosity killed the cat part? How come society didn't teach us, but satisfaction brought it back? Why? Because they want to keep you down. The things that are legal are the things that don't expand your mind. Alcohol, benzodiazepines, SSRIs, right? Opioids. These things are not mind expanders. These are not ego dissolution agents. They are ego inflation agents, right? No one gets drunk and starts to talk about the existential, things of life and like the beyond, essentially. Maybe one person out there, but generally not. Psychedelics, more so. You start to ask, like, why are things the way they are? Oh, other humans made it this way? Maybe it's time to question it and change it.
Yeah, amazing.
It
Um,
wakes you up.
so there's also a question in here. We've got crew that from all over the world tuning
I
in.
love that.
So, can you work with us in Australia? Asks Chantel.
You'd have to come here. I do some medical tourism, so I've had people come from other parts of the world. Most recently, I had a person come down from Canada. They literally drove all the way down there. I guess there was like a strike or something with the airlines, and they weren't able to access ketamine the way we do it, there. That way do we do it here. And so we did a big program with the stellate ganglion block and the 6 infusions and the integration, and they stayed at Airbnb. So if you are in Australia and you want to come over here and stay for 2 weeks, stay in an Airbnb, make a vacation out of it, then yes, I could work for you. You can self-refer to my clinic. You don't have to have a referral from another doctor. Like I assess you for free. Every single person, you get a free 30 to 45 minute in-person, visit with me or one of my two partners. You fill out medical history, survey scores, and then we will sit down with you and not charge you a penny and have a conversation. I'll even do Zoom ones if it's far away, to see if this is right for you. So literally, it's just going to cost you time. It's going to cost you nothing monetarily until you decide to, maybe move forward with the program. So yes, in short, Australia could, but you'd have to come here. Now, what I would say is Australia is, the other side of the world. So maybe come here when it's your winter, and then it's our summer, so you can kind of escape, the winter there if you want. Depends what kind of part of Australia you're in. I have an uncle that lives in Sydney. I backpacked the whole East Coast. Fantastic country, loved it. But if you came to Arizona, I would optimally do November to April is probably the best times because it's like so perfect. Right now it's like 100, probably 15 degrees outside. So it's hot.
Wow. Yeah, I remember when we were there, or the time when we did the exhibition. Man, it was 115. I
It
remember
was
it freezing
September. Yeah, yeah, September 10th.
So there's another question. C. Tomas writes, really interesting conversation, Dr. James. I'm interested to ask about what level of interaction you find is suitable to have with the patients during the dosing, and how soon do you have integration after the session?
Fantastic question. So it depends what number infusion they're on. But generally, so the first infusion, we'll have talked like 30 minutes before you get medicine. You've already done an in-person consultation, medically cleared you, all those things. And then I'm going to walk you gently into the medicine. So I'll be in the room with you the first 10 minutes and walk you in with breath work. We'd want to practice box breathing, right? Your breath is your anchor. It's always there with you. And so using that to kind of move out of challenging states if they pop up. And then also you want to do the body scan. So I do that with you. And then I go into being the non-judgmental, curious observer. And then I will leave the room and put on the headphones for you and the eye mask because I want you to go within. If I stay there in the room with you, as much as it might make you feel safe, I'm an external distraction. I can keep you safe without being in the room because I'm giving sub-anesthetic doses of ketamine. And then I have a video camera in every single room, so objective eye recording, and you're on a vital signs monitor. And then around your neck, you have a little button. So if you need anything at any point in time, hit that call button. I'm in the room in 10 seconds. And so during the infusion, you're having your own experience. Then at 30 minutes, I come into the room, pause the music, say your name's Joe. Hey, Joe, how are you doing? We're at that halfway checkpoint. Do you want to go deeper into the medicine experience? Do you want to go ankle deep or knee deep? And if they say, I don't know, that's a no. And then I'll ask you to smell your essential oil so we can kind of get back into the medicine. I'll turn on your Apollo Neuro on your wrist. It's a wearable hug, apolloneuro.com or wearablehugs.com. Fantastic device invented by Dr. David Rabin, MD, PhD, psychiatrist and neuroscientist, amazing human being. He actually just released a book called A Simple Guide to Being Alive in June. Fantastic book. I'm working through it right now. So shout out to him. Really, really great human being. And so I know if I go interrupt you at 30 minutes, I need to help you get back in, right? So I'm going to turn that vibration back on, the smell, music come back on, so you go back in. If you say ankle deep or knee deep, might go 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams as a push to get deeper into the medicine. And you'll know if you want to go deeper. It's like people are like, how am I going to know? I'm like, well, you ever go to a buffet and then know if you need more food? You'll know. And then at the end, I come into the room and I try to kind of be like a ninja. I just turn off the infusion pump. But if you're like, hey, who's there? Of course, I'm going to answer, but I'm not wanting to distract you. The thing that happens when you're in a ketamine infusion is it changes your brainwave state. So when we're conscious and aware and task oriented and problem solving, we're on something called a beta brainwave frequency. And so ketamine drops you into a theta brainwave frequency, which is light meditation, light sleep, right? So alpha brain is more like the flow essentially. So the five levels are delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. And so I'm dropping you from the beta brain into the theta brainwave states. And so I don't want to interrupt that because when I come in and interrupt you, boom, you jump back into beta brain. And so I want to get you back into that theta brainwave state, that light meditation, that creative space. And then you finish the infusion. I come in at 1 hour, turn that off, let you rest 15 minutes or so, maybe longer. Kind of depends how busy the day is and when someone has to come into that room next. Everyone gets a 2 hour appointment window. 3 hours if you're doing a chronic pain infusion, because we do use ketamine for chronic pain. For mental health, it's a minimum of a 60-minute infusion. A lot of places will do a 40 or 45-minute infusion and call it an hour infusion. So it's always important to ask them because their prices look lower, but you're getting 25% less medicine time. I think 1 hour is the minimum I would do because 45 minutes, the times I did those infusions, it felt way too fast and rushed. It takes about 5, 10 minutes to kind of get into the medicine, and then you're like hitting cruising altitude and they're already kind of bringing you out. So a lot of like minimal interaction. So a friend of mine, this guy, he invented something called the minimal stimulation ketamine infusion therapy, MS KIT, and I do also ascribe to that practice of the less I interrupt you, the better you're going to do in the medicine. And then at the end, after that 15-minute rest, then I'll come into the room. We'll take off the headphones. You'll go onto our vibroacoustic meditation cushion that was invented by Craig Goldberg from In Harmony Interactive, brother from another mother. Him and Dom, they invented that over a decade ago. Fantastic technology. I call that ketation. And so I want to keep you in that theta brainwave state while you're still in the ketamine. And then you do the vibroacoustics to rise up out of the medicine. And then after that, we will engage in conversation. So you've literally had 25 to 30 minutes of the medicine being off before we even try to engage in conversation. Because I know it's hard to put your thoughts to words right after ketamine. And then if you want to engage in conversation, I'm there for you. But some people just want to process on their own. So you got to feel the room. You got to feel that how that person is doing. I'm there to hold space. If they want to talk about what they experienced, sure. Like, hey, was there any topics or themes or certain words that came through for you? Did you have any visual effects? Did you feel like you went out of body or dissociated at all? Did it feel too intense or too, underwhelming? Like, just kind of give me some feedback so we can continue to dial the dose in. And then you're going to do your integration coaching call the day after your infusion. Why? Because when you go to sleep at night, a part of your brain called the hippocampus is where you consolidate memories. And so I want you to have processed and digested the experience, and then the next day do the integration. There's also a field of ketamine called ketamine assisted psychotherapy or CAP. Nothing against it. It's fantastic for many people, but you have to do much lower dose ketamine if you're going to engage in conversation while you're in the medicine. That can also be very healing because it has something called a psycholytic property. So lysine or breaking the psyche brings the walls down. You're way more open and you can get way further sometimes in talk therapy. And that would be like a trochea or a lozenge. You could do cap with that. IV, sure, I'm going to walk you in gently. So if you were going to do cap, maybe the first infusion you could do that. But as you go deeper into the medicine, I want to do the integration work the day after. So our specific protocol, if you're doing a 6 infusion, we call it an induction series. Say it's 2 infusions a week for 3 weeks. You do a 1 hour prep session virtually with your coach over Zoom or over, Google Meet over the phone. You get to choose. Do that the day before your first infusion. And then you do a 30-minute virtual integration call the day after infusions 1, 2, 4, and 6. And that's our protocol. Now, you could do it after number 3 and 5 if you'd like to, but then you would just have to purchase additional coaching. So we bake in 3 hours or 5 sessions of coaching into our program. Why? Well, I learned this saying from Joe Polish. He's a master marketer, is you have to sell them what they want and smuggle in what they need. And so what do people want? They want the ketamine. Well, what do they really need? The integration. So that's how we do that. I smuggle in the integration to show them like, oh, wow, like I do need that. I do need to unpack and weave into my life the things that showed up in the medicine. The medicine's a mirror for you a lot of times. It's showing you the things to work on. It's will you then embody that and accept that or dismiss it, right? People often will ask, like, hey, how long does ketamine last for? I have two answers. One, if you look at it strictly from like a receptor level and active metabolites, ketamine has active metabolites called hydroxynorketamine and norketamine, and you can find them if you sample the urine for about 3 weeks, about 21 days in people, and that varies, depends on how fast they metabolize it, kidneys, liver, those types of things. But in general, about 3 weeks you can find the medicine still in the system. However, if you allow it to shift your paradigm of how you view the world and how you show up as a human, it could potentially last a lifetime. And so I'll be full disclosure with you. I literally own two clinics. I have not had a ketamine infusion since October 30th, 2021, nearly 5 years. Why? Well, like Alan Watts said, when you get the message, do you hang up the phone or do you stay on the line? Now, every psychedelic has its own phone line. It has its own number. It has its own fingerprint, essentially. And so I've done other psychedelic journeys since then, like 5-MeO, psilocybin, things of that nature. But as far as ketamine goes, I do feel like I got the answers I was looking for from it. It was profoundly healing in my life, but I don't feel called back to it at this current moment. And so that's treating the medicine with reverence and respect, right? There's this really cool meme I have, and it says like, there's this guy walking on like a dark cave and it has like this the shadow self kind of crawling after him, and it says like I need to do more medicine, and then the shadow says fucking integrate me, bro.
Oh my goodness. Well, you are a wealth of information. I know we're all like just sitting on the edge of our seats and some
Thank you. I love this. This is
precious.
so fun.
This is so fun. Do you have time for one more question?
100%. I got time for five more questions. Like you
We,
got my day right here. Like this was like the peak pinnacle experience of my day versus then I'm gonna go hang out with my wife Doreen and my amazing son Jacoby Zenith. I'm gonna hang out with them after this. And so
yeah.
that's the only thing on hold right now. Like it's Saturday Datter Day, but then tomorrow is Sunday Fun Day, Sonday.
Yeah, they're so lucky. I've gotten to meet both of
Yeah, they
them
did. They
and
did. Yes.
they're multiple times, and you guys are such an inspiration. Yeah.
Thank you. I
As a
appreciate it. Be the
family.
change you wish to see, like show up as the best version of you. And I got days where I don't want to get out of bed, but like I tell myself, like, no, dude, mind over matter. Get out of bed. Like you get to do this. Like
Yeah.
maybe you're tired. You're lucky you're tired. You get to live your ikigai. How lucky are you?
Yeah.
Just keep showing up. No complaints, no excuses.
No excuses. Well, okay, so here's we got a question from April. And is can you explain the difference between ketamine and shrooms and
Yeah, I
for
would love to.
trauma?
Yeah,
In,
I'd love
re-
to.
in
So
regards to trauma, I guess, like or
yes, yes, perfect question. So we want to look at psychedelics, right? We got to break it down. You got the classic psychedelics, LSD, DMT, psilocybin, mescaline. What makes them classic psychedelics? They all work on your serotonin 5-HT2A receptor. The whole 5-HT stands for 5-hydroxytryptamine, right? Oh, hydroxytryptamine. Oh, dimethyltryptamine. Interesting, right? So the serotonin looks very similar to psilocybin and DMT if you look at the molecules. Very interesting. Then you have your atypical psychedelics or non-classic psychedelics: ketamine, ibogaine, 5-MeO-DMT, 2CB, salvia. List goes on, right? So it's all about what receptors they're working on. So ketamine essentially is a glutamatergic psychedelic, and it's also a point of contention. People say that ketamine is not a psychedelic, and what I would say to them is that it is mind revealing, so it is a psychedelic. I will tell you also, life is profoundly psychedelic. It is very mind revealing. Artwork is psychedelic, breathwork is psychedelic, so it all depends on how you really want to use the word. But sure, it's not a classic psychedelic because it doesn't work on the 5-HT2A receptor. Psilocybin is an amazing medicine. Of course, dose matters. And so the challenge with psilocybin right now is like you might get the dry weight of the mushrooms, right? Say you have 1 gram of psilocybin mushroom. You do not know what percent of that actual 1 gram of dry weight of mushroom is psilocybin. It can range 1 to 3% generally. But that's a big range. That means you could have 10 milligrams or 30 milligrams of psilocybin, which is a completely different experience. And so that's the issue with where psilocybin is at right now, where cannabis is, we know the terpenes, the cannabinoids, like you see it all on the label. Like we got that shit broken down. like because they're looking at it in a lab. So I hope psilocybin will get there eventually to show you like, oh, this much psilocybin's in there. These other alkaloids are in there and it interacts this way. Like I went to Amsterdam back in 2008 and they had these smart shops and there was like a loophole in the law where you could go buy these truffles, these philosopher stones, and you could do them legally. And it was fantastic. And they were like, "Oh, you want this type of trip? Here you go." So like I think a lot of this is like if you legalize, you'll raise the standard, you'll have better quality because people are still going to do it in the black market and the gray market. So it's like making these things illegal is not going to stop people from doing it. It actually makes it more dangerous, kind of like peptides, right? Like the gray market for peptides are out of control right now. So psilocybin is fantastic medicine. It's also a very long experience. So ketamine, I call it like, Camelback Mountain is right over Amanda's right arm, if I'm not mistaken. Depends what kind of way we're looking at your shirt. So your left arm actually, that's the Phoenix. So yeah, the left side for you is Camelback Mountain right there. So Camelback takes about an hour to climb up it, an hour to go down it. And that's like ketamine, about an hour experience and then about an hour to kind of come out of it. You'll feel a little wooziness after that, but about an hour up, hour down. Psilocybin depends on the dose. Say you take a heroic dose, you're looking at, 6 hours roughly, maybe even longer of an experience. I call that a Mount Everest of psychedelics. Now, I wouldn't want Mount Everest to be my first hike. Maybe some people would, but there's also no stop button. Once you take that medicine in, it's in you. I mean, you can try to puke it up, but it's in there. And there's other things you could do like lemon teching and things like that to get it to onset faster. What I particularly like with psilocybin is I prefer microdosing, honestly. I've done the heroic doses, but I'd also get a lot of nausea with it, even if I lemon tech. So I do prefer like microdosing. I'll be true talk here. Like if I have a podcast the next day, you better believe I'm microdosing the night before. And on microdose, I like to do it the night before. Why? Because then when I'm sleeping, the neuroplasticity can occur. Because that's when your brain can heal itself. Because it's not having to carry on this conscious human experience right now, right? I want the mycelial network to be working through me like you have on that art behind you, Amanda. While I'm here, I want to be firing on all cylinders. I want my words to flow smoothly, right? But not be altered. So I do prefer microdosing over macrodosing, but I also think macrodosing has massive benefits to it. If you also have a sitter there with you, walking you through the traumatic experience as well. A lot of things that's interesting about MDMA and psilocybin, generally speaking, is you need to access the specific trauma that you're trying to reprocess and reconsolidate while you are in the medicine. Whereas ketamine, you can get reconsolidation around the traumatic memory outside of the medicine experience. You also generally do not feel great the day after an MDMA or 2 days after an MDMA session because you've depleted your serotonin stores. Now, one of the ways to curtail that is basically taking MDMA and then as you're peaking and coming down, doing psilocybin. And that's more of a heart protocol. Huberman has actually, Andrew Huberman has talked about this recently on his socials. Also, ketamine is another way that you could layer it in there too to help with balancing the serotonergic system and helping how you would feel the next day. But this is another topic for discussion. So, psilocybin works very differently. Serotonergic system, fantastic healing medicine, but also it's not going to pull you out of a suicidal ideation loop like ketamine would. And so you got to like kind of really like pick out like where is this person? How critical is their situation? And then that's going to make me decide which psychedelic to use. So I like to use ketamine to stabilize an acute crisis, depending on the person and everything. And then I would use, say after we finish ketamine, a 6 series, I will then recommend people then go to microdosing psilocybin to continue the neuroplasticity. In Colorado, it's decriminalized. Oregon is decriminalized. There's plenty of places to access it out there. So you could do that after. So that's why I look at it as ketamine stabilized psilocybin after. Now, if you have mild depression or a lot of your trauma from the past hasn't been fully worked on, and you're in a pretty good place now as a human, and you have a really good sitter and like a medicine, person to be with you, and they're going to kind of do one-on-one or maybe a very small group, and you've done the right prep work, psilocybin can be profoundly healing. But oftentimes you need to access the trauma while you're in the medicine. And that's why MDMA, they had two therapists, male and female, during the 8 hour sessions because you need to access the trauma to reprocess it and reconsolidate it and change the way it lives within your nervous system. I always tell people I cannot take away your past traumas. But what is trauma? It's a memory. What's a memory? Neural circuitry. So I can change the way the trauma lives within your nervous system because I can change the neural circuitry. I can change the connection of the limbic system, or what we call amygdala to insula. I call it the new AI. Your amygdala, your fear center. Your insula is your interoception, your inner environment. And so people that have a lot of PTSD have a high degree of connectivity between these two brain structures, amygdala and insula. And so we know after people go through big psychedelic journeys and reprocess their traumas, you see less hyperconnectivity between the amygdala and insula. And so it really, hopefully that answers your question. They both work differently, but they can be adjuncts to one another. But I would like to stabilize the ketamine and then go to psilocybin after. And psilocybin is still considered a Schedule One, and it's not decriminalized in the majority of the United States, therefore not as accessible and a much longer journey.
Wow. Oh my God, so many downloads. Um, I just want to read out loud. Kyra has wrote a little something here. This call has been so affirming. Thank you. I feel deeply resonant in this whole conversation as someone who integrates their life and psychedelic and plant medicine experiences through art. These medicines have been so beneficial to understand myself more. Healing through art has shown other people they can as well. So inspiring both ways. I've been feeling a call to connect with ketamine, so this has been so informative. Thank you, James.
Yeah, and if you want to reach out to me, like, you can, I'll tell people too, like, you want to call the number 480-631-4800. Call between Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. We will help you. If
Wait,
you
say
want to
that
email,
again. I'll write it down in there.
480
Four, eight,
631
six,
or
three.
800. Or, you hop on Instagram. I'm psychedelic_DRS. I created my Vision Train profile. So I have our website and I also have like the Instagram on there as well. Slide into the DM, message me. If you want me to send you a copy of our workbook, I will send it to you for free, a digital copy. And that's a good place to start. So that if you're doing ketamine in a place near you, because, yeah, it can be very expensive to travel to Arizona to do this, but I'm not trying to dissuade you to do so. If you want to work with me, I'd be happy to do so. But if you wanted to find a place near you, any clinic should allow you to come in person and feel the energy of that space. That's what I allow people to do. Because how can you make a decision unless you can like see yourself being there and then be in person with the person providing the medicine to you and feel their energy? Because it's an energetic exchange. All life is. Even when you're creating art with the canvas, it's an energetic exchange between you and that canvas. Because just as much as you're giving to that canvas, the art as it is created is giving back to you. I mean, it's a form of therapy for sure, right? Like I'm sure you probably just feel like a lot of stuck energy within you, and then you get on to that canvas and just flowing through you and you feel lighter after. Other things I do want to talk about is like you were at the eclipse like a week ago. Like
Yeah.
how freaking incredible was that? Like just around so many great people I got to watch like your stories and everything. Like you got that cool tattoo like here.
Uh-huh.
It fits perfectly, right? Like I feel like it was meant to be right there. I
Yeah,
love
it's Rachel G who teaches yoga on the Vision Train. She's a tattoo artist, and so she's done a little tattoo like this. It means it's the sun. Every time she's seen an eclipse, she's an eclipse chaser, and so Nina and I both got these little tattoos. But I didn't have reception out there, so I didn't get to share as much in time. But I did a little bit later.
It's
Um,
better after, honestly. Like enjoy it while you're in it, and then
yeah.
after. But like to be in the path of totality. I mean, I've never experienced that. It's gotta just make you feel just like, oh my
Dude,
goodness,
I
like
can't. I want to be there with you when you get to experience it for the first time.
I'd be
Guys,
honored. But in this lifetime, we'll try to make it happen.
let's make it happen. We could go to Egypt next year.
Oh my God, I would love to be there. I mean, I'm gonna have to say a maybe. That's a big vacation, big
It's a big
commitment. I
one.
need to go there at least in my life at some point in time.
Same. I
But I
haven't
got a
been there
seven
yet.
and a half year old, so
Yeah,
navigating that is challenging. But eventually, just like I will get back to the burn eventually.
same. I
But
won't be getting there this year, I don't think.
I went in 2017. It was life changing. Gives you hope for humanity to see like community come together like that. 80,000 people, spring up from nothing, this amazing city. My favorite, this is my own quote on Burning Man, is that it's where too much is just right.
Yeah, totally. What was the Instagram again that you just shared?
Oh, psychedelic. So PSYCHEDELIC_DRS.
Yeah.
Psychedelic doctors. Yeah, and you slide in there, or even, go to our website, advanced with a D, advanced wellness and pain.com. That's all in our in my Vision Train bio as well. And
Yep.
people might be a little confused. I will be admit to this is that we started out called Advanced Wellness and Pain. So we've kept that domain name, but we rebranded to Phoenix Scottsdale Ketamine Therapy Clinic and then also the Gilbert Chandler Ketamine Therapy Clinic. Why? Because search engine optimization, right? Advanced Wellness and Pain, you don't know what I do. But if you read Phoenix Scottsdale Ketamine Therapy Clinic, you know what I do and you know where I am. And so that's what people are going to search. So you have to,
Yeah.
know how to cater to the AI and algorithms and the search engines. So we changed the name, our DBA, or doing business as that.
Yeah.
Marketing. Like this thing is no one's gonna find me driving around. Like our clinic is hidden in the back of a medical complex here. The only way you're gonna find me is online or word of mouth, or getting a Google search, maybe in social media, but I get shadow banned on Instagram a lot of times because psychedelic, is this dirty word. I just need to call it neuroplastogen and then they'll like it again. But
Right.
like these are profound medicines, these are profound experiences. So not to like ever take them lightly, just always proper preparation, go into it with intention, know the people you're working with, integrate it after, cultivate what came up for you so you can turn it into a consciousness transformation. And so you can stay this being a tool and not a weapon, right? And just always ask yourself, am I doing this to connect or escape? And you will have the answer. They say the opposite of addiction is what? Connection.
Yeah.
And that's what this community is. It's connection, it's community, it's consciousness, it's collaboration, it's communication, it's vitamin C.
Totally. It's vitamin C. Leslie also writes, thank you for the information. We have a great ketamine clinic here in Portland, Oregon that I refer my clients to. It's called
Beautiful.
Cascade Psychedelic.
Beautiful.
I don't know if you've heard of them, but
I know
sh
one doc, I don't know his name off the top of my head. I met him at a conference, the SKP3 conference. He was in Portland. I was just like, wherever you go, just you should be able to go in there and meet him. See the environment. I think it's important. You
right.
should have your own private treatment room. You should wear an eye mask. You go within, like just talk about the route of administration and all those things. I think it's really important,
Yeah,
to
and
do discovery.
there's a lot of folks out there, like doctors too, that don't have access to the art community. And I
Hmm.
think this was one thing that I remember you telling me in your when you were in school, so there one of your professors showed an Alex Gray painting in a presentation.
So in 2005, I literally finished undergrad 2004, and then I was trying to get into med school. I started med school 2007. And so I live in Connecticut at the times where I'm from, and then they had this mini medical school for like a week at University of Connecticut. And then one of the people was on spirituality and medicine. And they literally on the projector put up Alex Gray, and which one they put up was praying, and I have it on my watch all the time. And they put up the praying one, and I saw that and I was like, "What the heck is that?" And it was like, boom, light went off, and it was rabbit hole Alex Gray. That was the first time I ever saw his art. Like I had heard a Tool, but I never actually like connected one to the other of his art with their music. But that praying was the first one I saw, and it literally, I mean, yeah, this one right here, the cover of Sacred Mirrors,
Right.
this one. And I love the anatomy and everything. And I've just been a massive enthusiast and fan ever since. The fact that I've got to meet him several times and Allison like shake his hand. Oh, like, is this real life? Pinch me.
Yeah.
Like that picture you talked about, the one where the artist, when he's at the canvas and there's like the demons behind it. I think I probably showed you a picture before. I have a picture where I'm like standing there, he's signing something for me, and I'm like standing, it's like beaming right into my third eye.
I think I took that picture.
A Cosmo took the picture. This guy
Okay,
Cosmo
Cosmo,
took
but
it.
I was there.
Yeah. You were there. You were 100% there. And then we
Yeah.
recreated the picture as well because you stood there as the artist as him. And it was like that. I flew there just for the opening, on June 3rd, 2023, because I was like, there's only one opening of Entheon. I must be there.
Yeah.
Discover the creator within. Anyone, if you have not visited Entheon, please make it like a pilgrimage in your life. This is like basically the Taj Mahal of visionary art is built in Wappingers Falls, New York, and so many people are unaware of it. I was in that town just like going out and about when I had dinner the night before, the next day, and I'm like, they're like, why are you here from Arizona? I'm like, well, Entheon's opening tomorrow. They're like, what? I'm like, you live here and you don't know about this? I'm like, it's like it is their life's work, and the fact that they created that in this one life and they're alive to enjoy it, it's such a magical place. I hope to get back there again, and
Yeah.
just because I know the art exhibits change as well, but like, what an honor and privilege to be there. You were on a panel, with
Yeah.
like Chris Dyer and Mark Henson and Alex and Allison and Alexa. It was fantastic. Like just to be there around like the energy when you're in person with these like high vibrational humans, like it's contagious. Like I'm definitely a combination introvert extrovert. Like I charge up solo, but I definitely charge up a community as well. And I'm just so glad I got to be there. Like it was, it's amazing. I love what they're doing. Like that's my church,
Right.
Chapel of Sacred Mirrors, art church essentially.
Totally.
Discover the creator within, Entheon. Like I just love what they're doing. The world's a better place with them in it, 100%.
Well, and on that note, I just also, wherever you guys are in the world, make an effort to connect with, community that's around, that's maybe outside of the scope that's already known, like in your field. This is where I'm thinking, like, there's clinics and different kind of places that could use healing art, and
Correct. You
they
could approach them. Yeah, if I had a place
exactly
approach me, yeah, if you would have, I approached you, but if I had an artist approach me and they had really cool visionary art skills, like, yeah, why not?
right.
Like, come on in. Like, we have this Zen den here. Like, that's why I have your art above me here. I have like other cool pieces right here. There's
I
like
know.
Bradley Snook and then Alex's hands right there, and then like literally, I got Blake Foster Neurogenesis and Jonathan Salter Illuminarium there.
We
Like,
got
it's
to do a
all over.
tour. We got to do a tour next round. Next
Next
time we
next
do
round,
this.
yeah, like it just I love the art. I mean, you can't spell the word heart without art. You
I
can't spell earth without art. It's right in the middle, right? You take the art out of earth, what are you left with? Eh.
know. Oh, it's so
I mean, this
good.
hour and a half has flown by. Like, I know I can do 3 hours. Maybe one day I'll be on Rogan or something because I want to prove that I can, go long and say things of substance, not just repeat the same talking points over and over. And why? Because, like, this is like, I live and breathe my message. Like, this is not premeditated. Knowledge is what we collect, wisdom is what you become.
Yeah. Oh, we can do easy 3 hours to test it out. This train's been rolling for 6+ years,
Yeah, love
and
it.
our trips in the beginning used to be 6 hours each. And
Oh,
so,
that's incredible.
it's an endurance game at times, but it's also, this is a practice in flow, practice in getting into that flow. So one of my favorite things to do is to make art and listen to inspired conversation. That's one of the
Yes.
reasons this space started in the first place. So yeah, and anybody, like, if you have anybody that you'd like to have a conversation with, and I'm putting this out there to all of you that you think would be interesting to like interview, have a conversation with, bring on the train, like let's plant that seed now and reach out to them. And if you don't know, if you're not a conductor yet on the train, reach out to one of the conductors, reach out to me, and let's set it up, because that's what the space is for. And so many things can get initiated through a thought, or it is a psychedelic thing, I think, to get together, be in the creation space, exchanging information, learning, absorbing, opening our minds. Like Dr. James, you just like blew my mind again. I could talk to you for days, and I'm so grateful to be your friend and
Man, well,
get
me
to
right back at you, like this
yeah.
soul sister, like for real, I gotta pitch myself sometimes. Like I get a text message from Amanda Sage. I'm like, is this real life? Really? Like I text her, like what? Like just beyond belief. Like it really is. Like it's so cool. Like just thank you. Like you're such a real, authentic human. Like you are a living legend. I look at like the Greys passing the baton to like Amanda Sage. It's like the next wave, essentially, the great wave of transformation. You know?
Yeah. We're all
And
part of
then, and
that,
then how about like your
legacy.
birthday being April 19th bicycle day? Like, and then you met the Greys on April 19th. Like, come on.
Yeah, and I
Like
couldn't have
ridiculous.
planned it, to be honest. You really couldn't have planned it. This is the part, when we think back to our lives and we look at the whole story, it's like, really? It
The
ends up being
patterns,
more epic
synchronicity.
than you could have conceived. It
Yeah, I
is
mean, there's a
like
wild one too. Like this picture I have here has, Rick Doblin and Alex Gray signing the MAPS hands. Alex Gray's birthday is November 29th, 1953. Rick Doblin's birthday, November 30th, 1953. One
yeah,
day apart.
I know.
Come on. Really?
Right.
Coincidence? Both are in the Midwest? Maybe, but I mean, I like to see the patterns. I think the psychedelics allow you to kind of see that, and they're like little cosmic winks if you're looking for them. And if it
Right.
means something to you, it means something.
Yeah.
You know. No, what I would do, like, if you want to wrap it up here, take one more question because I feel like we kind of ended on a high note. I had a couple ideas.
Oh my God, there's no end to the high notes. So anybody else? Let's see, Char Charlotte also says, thank you for this talk and shared integration. I too started my psychedelic experiences around 14 and resonate with what you have said. I've learned so much. Thank you. Choo choo.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Zarzor says, the world is a better place with you in it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
You too.
Leatham. And then Lori says, thank you so much. This is very helpful. And yeah. Anybody else? Any other last words? I mean, you're welcome to unmute too, if you like, before we
Yeah,
wrap up.
Zora, I loved your comment about opposite of depression being expression. I love that. Really, it landed with me for sure. 100% agree. I will tell
Yeah, it
people like I
resonated.
learned this when I did a psychiatry rotation. What's the opposite of love? And people often will say hate, but it's not. It's apathy or indifference because you actually have to care about something to hate it. And so I would rather
Mm,
work with a patient that's stuck in anger than someone that's stuck in apathy or indifference. That's one of the hardest patients to work with.
mm. That's fascinating. Yeah, and Chantal also writes there was three things: reframe it to reclaim it, name it to tame it, and what was the next one?
Gotta feel it to heal it. Yeah. Feel it to heal it, name it to tame it, reframe it to reclaim it. And that's the book Psychedelic Iatry on Amazon by Casey Dubrovic, a close friend of mine.
Let's see. Let's write that out. Or let me see. Maybe I can find it.
Psychedelic Iatry. It's on Amazon. Fantastic book. Shout out to you, brother. He's one of the Keta dads. There's three of us, me, Casey, and Ramey. We all own ketamine clinics, and we all left
Iatry? How
traditional
do you spell
medicine.
that? Psychedelic.
Psychedelic and then Iatry, Iatry. Should be on Amazon. Psychedelic Iatry.
I just wanted to
Uh-huh.
say real quick,
So, so
I'm
I'm
I'm sure I
sorry.
speak for a lot of us that I'm super impressed by your memory and recall, like the dates, the names. I'm super duper impressed, and I was curious, like, what do you credit that to? Your cognitive supercomputer brain that you
Well,
got
I
going
told you I
on.
took a microdose of psilocybin, 100 milligrams last night. So I mean, that's
Oh,
well, that's how you fire it on all cylinders. Like
okay.
the thing is, I wanted to do a microdosing protocol, like 2 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off for
Mm-hmm.
3 months, but I wasn't going to take it and go to work. I wanted to honor the fact that I'm going to work, I'm putting needles in people, I need to be 100% sober. I want to honor that. Only thing I will take in before work is espresso, and that's psychoactive, not psychotropic, right? The caffeine. And so I was like, okay, what if I take it at nighttime? And then I was like, oh, that's perfect because then your brain heals itself during sleep because it's not carrying on this entire, conscious living experience. It's sleeping. So I like to microdose 2 nights on, 1 night off, do it for 1 to 3 months, and then move away from it. Then I'll just do it as needed now. So like I had a microdose for probably weeks. And then I was like, all right, last night, let's do it, and then I'll be firing on all cylinders for the episode. And that's just also part of my like innate talents. I have a little bit of a photographic memory as far as like when I would study, I would listen to music and then I would like so I'd have the auditory and I would highlight the notes and then when I'm like taking the test, I could like literally hear the music and like see the page in my mind's eye as I'm taking the test. So just some of my innate talents. Like I said, I want to be the successful psychonaut that society tells you does not exist. I don't want to be that guy that you meet and you're like, oh, he seems a little glitchy. He went back to the well a few too many times,
Mm-hmm.
right? We all know those types of people. Nothing against them. I just didn't want to represent that for the space. I
Well,
want
I
to
don't.
represent what is possible if you use psychedelic medicines in moderation and with profound intention and reverence. And then you can still be someone that seems completely with it and is able to then, yeah, at certain times, there's a time and place for everything. My
Well,
own Instagram thing, it says work harder, play hardest. Well, I don't play hardest anymore. I used to. Before the kid, things change, but definitely like anesthesiologists are definitely working pretty hard. I mean, it's also like I have a theory called the stress bliss pendulum. And so this is another Dr. Latham theory thing. So, if you never experience high states of stress in your life, you don't even know it, but you can't get to the high states of bliss. So we all know like the metal ball, you let it go and then it swings this way, but it has to hit these other metal balls and that goes that way. So this is stress. So if your stress ball is pulled up here, it's a blessing in disguise because eventually that ball is going to drop and you got a chance to get to the bliss side. And so this is me, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, patients trying to die on the table, no one else to save them except for me, the surgeon, a couple people in the operating room. That's here. So then when I'm just with my family, literally having a dinner on a regular Monday, night, I'm here. I literally will have a tear of gratitude come down my face sometimes, just sitting there with my wife and son, because I know I am in a time that I'm going to wish I could go back to one day. And all of us are. You are the youngest you will ever be for the rest of your life right now. And it's
Facts.
realizing that. It's just realizing that, right? You gotta, I put it as my quote on the vision train is that if you wanna, your attitude determines your latitude, you gotta look at life through the lens of gratitude at all times. And the more you look at your situation through the lens of gratitude, the more things show up that allow you to be more grateful for. Can you turn the less into lessons? Can you turn your mess into the message? It's up to you.
Amazing. So much wisdom. And, you keep saying that you want to be that person, but you are that person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And so are you. Look at the amazing art you're creating right there. You get
Oh,
to like
thanks.
listen to our words and you were laying down paint during, like you were in flow and I get to be a part of that synergy. Like you made an amazing quote about depression and expression. I love it. And that's what this is all about. It's community. It really is. And that's why even I take it one step further, like vitamin C is like literally the precursor that causes like skin scaffolding and collagen formation that like literally holds everything together. And so vitamin C is what leads to collagen formation, which is what holds our body together. And so
Wow.
vitamin C connection community is what holds us together.
Right.
Did not know that. That's profound. Thank you.
I know. It's like all it the it's in all it's in everything. All of the information too. It's like learning to put words to it and then weave the connections between the things, like the correlations.
Totally. Oh, I got like this is a fun little integration poem. So I went through being true to use. So if anyone's like, hey, how do I get into the psychedelic space and help people? The fastest way you probably could do that is, being true to you, fantastic company. Deanna Adamson formed it. They used to help people initially with ibogaine and integration, going down to Mexico and that kind of stuff. And then they now have a course series essentially. They teach you become a certified psychedelic integration coach. And I think it's about 6 months. They start their fall cohort here next month. So if you are wanting to get into this industry, just kind of check it out on their website. I did their training back in 2021. Part of my integration was literally like I sat down and I wrote this poem one day. And it is this. So in order to become great, we must integrate. To integrate something is to make it whole. Do not fear the K hole. Rather, think of the K hole with a W. To evolve your paradigm of associations, look no further. The K hole is actually dissociation. And so dissociation is literally when you kind of leave the body, and that's the K hole, HOLE. But if you integrate the K hole, HOLE, you can turn it into WHOLE, right? I was going to do a podcast one day and call it K hole WHOLE, so, but I haven't done it. I didn't think at the time, you know? And then if we're going to do one more fun thing, I'll probably get made fun of for this in the future or whatever. You got to own it. I have a Dr. James rap, and Amanda Sage is in the rap. Like your name is in it. So I feel like I kind of have to do it to wrap it all up.
Yeah, do it.
All right, Vision Train, Amanda Sage. You're looking at the legend of a street pharmacist turned anesthesiologist. Listen up, Vision Train. Class is in session. You ain't about to be dismissed. You see, I turn my personal itch into my occupational scratch. I'm just here to get human consciousness lit like a match. There ain't no catch. Hi, they call me Dr. James. I got psychedelic blood evolution in my veins. I'm here, but I came from far away. I'm a luminary now, making moves, influencing your brain waves. I've been dreaming about infusions for a long time. Had a vision from Alex Gray, Amanda Sage down to cosign. Artificially intelligent new AI. I'm your future, past, and present on the fine line, and I'm the missing link to this illusion. I am not really here. I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink. I just flow. I don't need gravity. I'm here because my business and the global collective consciousness needs growth. Oh, whoa, when I infuse, there's an epic rumble, and I will never fall or stumble, and I don't need to be humble. Break down problems and solve them like the Vision Train. Zoom, choo choo, come on. There you go.
We might have to snippet that one out for a YouTube little clip.
Yeah, you got to wrap it up with a rap, you know? And if I didn't do it on this with you and your name is in it, then I would be like always regretting, like just don't take life too seriously. Try to have fun with it. And, peace, love, and gratitude. Peace with the past, love for the present, and have gratitude for whatever the future brings you.
Yeah. Well, you rock. Thank you so
You do
much.
too. Thank you. Thank
And
you for this opportunity. This has been amazing. What a cool community, Vision Train. And please reach out to me if you have any questions. And I'm just here to, we're all walking each other home, as Ram Dass said it well.
yeah,
So I'm here to uplift you,
so
empower
much.
you.
Say hi to Doreen and Jacoby, and
100% I will.
let's do this again.
100%.
See
Choo
you on
choo.
board.
All
Choo
right. Peace,
choo.
fam. Till next time.
Till next time.
Do I just sign out or you stop recording?
No, I'm just gonna stop recording. Bye,
Okay.
recording.